Hi there, this is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is from 1964, and it's The Chalk Garden, a relatively new release from Indicator, starring Deborah Kerr, Hayley Mills and John Mills, directed by Ronald Neame from 1964. And this, to me, is another classic Indicator release, very much like things like Otley and The New Centurions, films that I just wasn't familiar with, and then Indicator come along and release them. Nobody else is releasing them. Maybe Twilight Time in the old days, but they just like blow you away, and The Chalk Garden is one of those films. I just absolutely loved it. If you like Deborah Kerr in her governess roles, then this one's going to be right up your street, because 3 years after The Innocents, she gets another job playing Hayley Mills, governess. Like I say, directed by Ronald Neame, who is a kind of interesting director. He's kind of solid and workmanlike. He never really gets in the way of the story. To me, he's kind of like a cut rate Richard Lester, not Richard Lester levels, but as far as working with really good casts, if you look at some of his films like Hopscotch with Walter Matthau, Ned Beatty and Glenda Jackson, he did Meteor, The Odessa File, The Poseidon Adventure, Scrooge, Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, Gambit, Tunes of Glory, Alec Guinness, The Horse's Mouth with Alec Guinness, which I did a random review of 2 years ago, which is a really special little film and one of the greatest films about portraying an artist and what makes an artist tick. So he does have like a varied catalogue. Born in 1911, died in 2010. And The Chalk Garden again is another example of him not really getting in the way. It's based on a stage play by Enid Bagnold, who wrote several plays, and it was a huge success in 1956, I believe. It made a run in England of over 600 performances, lots of actresses did the roles, because it is, you know, a script and a play that actors just kill for, because it's got wonderful zingy one-liners and just some great stuff in it. In latter day, I think it's still running every now and again. Penelope Keith, for example, from The Good Life and other things, was in it fairly recently. It's about 3 generations of women, or 3 ages of women. Again, I didn't really think about that. I didn't overanalyse the film while I was watching it, just because I was in cloud 9 because I just loved it so much. Because again, it's Deborah Kerr, just blowing everybody away. I know she has a reputation for playing kind of reserved characters that have this passion boiling under the surface, and to a certain extent this is the same, but we do kind of find out more about her. So she turns up for an interview at this country house. John Mills is the man about the house, and he has his own secrets. And Hayley Mills is the tearaway that is going through governesses like most people go through hot underwear. She says at one point her record is getting rid of 3 in the same day, She likes to find out about them, find out their histories and find out their vices, and then expose them to her grandmother, who she lives with, played wonderfully by Edith Evans, who played the same character in the original stage play, as did, sorry I have to keep looking, Felix Almer, who again you probably might not recognise the name but you'll recognise the face. Again, the pair of them played in the original stage play. So Hayley Mills' character is estranged from her mother, who the grandmother can't stand because she left her husband, who then died. Hayley Mills has various stories of how her father died, and again, whether they're true or not, she has stories about because her story is that her father blew his brains out in front of her, which again may be true, may not be true. She tells Deborah Kerr that that John Mills murdered his wife and child, which again might be true, might not be true. We first meet Hayley Mills and she's setting fire. She has a bonfire in the back garden, screaming round it. And the grandmother says every day we make it smaller, and she doesn't seem to notice, and one day it won't be there. Again, Hayley Mills, who usually plays these cute little characters, I think she was 16 when she made this. She absolutely rips it up and is having an absolute blast. I mean, she even says the word sex. Can you believe it? In 1964, unbelievable. So you have this dynamic where Deborah Kerr is very confident, very assured when she comes in. She has there's another applicant that comes in at the same time who gets flustered and intimidated by Hayley Mills and ends up pretty much running away. Whereas Deborah Kerr is very controlled, very confident in herself, but you can kind of tell that there's something going on underneath. I'm not going to go into spoilers in this review, but obviously there is something else going on with Deborah Kerr. But it's just this wonderful relationship and to and fro with the governess, the daughter, the grandmother, and John Mills' character. Again, it's another wonderful John Mills kind of upright performance, but he does have a kind of twinkle in his eye. I just love how there's no romance between John Mills and Deborah Kerr, which perhaps you would expect. There's more a kind of respect and a kind of knowingness between the two of them. We're introduced to the mother, who gives an ultimatum that she wants Hayley Mills back, and of course the grandmother doesn't want that to happen, and pretty much charges Deborah Kerr with making sure that doesn't happen. The grandmother enlists the help of a judge, played by Felix Almer, to pretty much nix the whole idea of the mother getting her child back. Again, it's also about generations. Obviously the grandmother, the idea of leaving your husband and remarrying, and the daughter is now pregnant with another child. That just goes against the grain. The mother, despite being, it's all about class, even though, her servants actually run her life for her. Yes, she is annoying at times, and obviously she's, she looks down on people, but by the end of the film she makes a choice that you just have to respect, and you actually admire her and you root for her. Again, at one stage I was thinking, this is a really good film, and then something happens, something changes, and it just elevated the film for me. Deborah Kerr's performance is just absolutely stunning. The subtle things she does, even just by widening her eyes or flaring her nostrils, She doesn't smile that much during the film. It's actually noted by Hayley Mills. When she does smile, she looks, beautiful. And even Deborah Kerr says she doesn't do it that often. This is a woman with a past. You could say it's a little bit stagey, obviously, because it was a play. There's not amazing visuals or anything like that. It does have an interesting score, but it's really the script. Again, actors would queue up to play these roles. I think the wonderful zingy gallows humour at times, dialogue really translates to 60 years later, to watching it in 2021. Yeah, that's a year, isn't it? So I think the dialogue really stands up, because obviously some films from the 60s, the 50s and 60s, the dialogue doesn't really kind of stand up. But I think this one really does. Yes, you could say, like I said, it's a bit stagey, and some of the performances, some people might find a little bit harsh and a little bit too much. But it's just a wonderful potboiler kind of shot in summery sun, and it's just an absolute. Again, some people might not like it, obviously, but I don't know whether I was in the right mood for it. But Deborah Kerr, Hayley Mills is a brat. John Mills doing John Mills things. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that. The extras on the disc, as usual with Indicator, there's a nice booklet, because apparently the Mills family, when they went down on location, caused quite a stir in the local area, and the celebrities. There's Ronald Neame when he was a lot younger. The extras are really good. There's a commentary which I'm going to have to listen to when I watch it again, because I'll probably be watching it quite soon, because it's just so good. I might be in the minority, obviously, but I don't really care. There's an audio interview with Ronald Neame from 1991, which is 107 minutes. Again, I'll be checking that out as well, because I have heard him before, because there's a commentary in Hopscotch, which is wonderful, on Criterion. There's a mini feature called Fertile Ground with assistant production accountant. But, yeah, sometimes, Indicator, they go deep with their extras. That's going pretty deep. Assistant production accountant. There we go. There's 1 minute of 8mm location footage. Okay, fair enough. There's a 2021 clever conversation piece for 22 minutes. There's an appreciation of Malcolm Arnold's score by David Huckvale, who did a lot of work on the Hammer sets. Malcolm Arnold's story is quite tragic, how he ended up despite being a really interesting composer. Loved and Envied from 2021, an 11-minute piece by Josephine Botting on the life and career of Enoch Bagnold, which is very interesting as well. And again, Josephine Botting is one of the people on the commentary. And again, there's a trailer, image gallery, and the 32-page booklet. So again, it's just a wonderful little film that for me sums up Indicator as far as these little gems. Because again, the knock on Indicator is they don't have, quote unquote masterpieces or too many great films. I mean, I'd maybe argue that slightly. But when you find a gem in Indicator's collection, like the Chalk Garden, again, for me, my opinion is not fact, it just makes it so good, and you just thank Indicator for doing these kind of films, because again, they're not sexy, fascinating films that are going to sell out immediately. But if you're a Deborah Kerr fan, or a John Mills fan, or even a Hayley Mills fan, sure, some people might be Hayley Mills fans, it's a no-brainer. And if you're maybe waiting for a sale and you feel like taking a punt, I would highly recommend the Chalk Garden. Again, you might watch it and just not like it at all, or just not really, it's not your flavour. That's absolutely fine, but I just thought it was quite awesome. Obviously Deborah Kerr, Nazarene Prod and myself do another YouTube channel, kind of podcast, Ronan Nazarene Talks, and our last video was Deborah Kerr. We did 2 Powell and Pressburger films, Black Narcissus and Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, where Deborah Kerr plays 3 characters, and obviously she gives great performances in those ones, and also The Innocents, which is absolutely fantastic as a governess, and she's fantastic in this. I mean, this might actually be my favourite Deborah Kerr performance, and that's saying something, because she's absolutely stunning in it, and I would highly recommend it. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if you've seen The Chalk Garden and what you think of it, and tell me what your favourite Deborah Kerr as a governess film is. And hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronan from Solitary Ronan Films, saying goodbye.